Yes, for the BSc 4th sem, already the environment chemistry started, and in the previous class, the points discussed are what are the main pollutants, that is air pollutants, and how these air pollutants are eliminated, and what are the adverse effects of these completed in the previous class. Now we go for the water pollution. As we know, that is the large amount of water is required for agriculture purpose, even for the industries and for the household purpose. Then after its use, means in the industry or in agriculture or in a household, after its use, water get polluted because there are so many contaminations are enters in the water, and that water is goes on polluting. Then what are the most important various pollutants and the sources to have the waste water or polluted water? The first one is sewage. You know what is meant by sewage means it's a waste that is thrown out, and waste from the municipality and other oxygen demanding waste from industries as well as the agriculture matter, and this waste is generally dumped to the river. Means even industrial waste is there, agriculture waste is there, household waste is there. That waste is enters indirectly or directly in the water, and that waste are generally disposed of by dumping in a nearby river. And if the sewage quantity is less than the dissolved oxygen, then is sufficient to convert carbon to carbon dioxide. Means dissolved oxygen is, if it is sufficient in the water, whatever the waste is thrown out which contains carbon components, and that carbon is converted in the form of carbonates, similarly sulfur to sulfates, phosphorus to phosphates, nitrogen to ammonia, and nitrates. In such cases, water is not so badly polluted and it does not give the smell. If the oxygen contained, that is dissolved oxygen contained, if it is more than that of the waste that is thrown out, if in the different case, if the water which contains dissolved oxygen and that dissolved oxygen percentage is less than that of the waste thrown out, in that case the carbon is not converted in the form of carbon dioxide, it is converted in the form of methane. Nitrogen compounds are converted in the form of amines. Means here, if oxygen content is more, the carbon compounds are converted in the form of carbon dioxide because it mixes with the oxygen. If nitrogen is there, that is converted in the form of nitrates. Clear? Phosphorus components are converted in the form of phosphates. Clear? Sulfur compounds are converted in the form of sulfates. If the percentage of oxygen is more, that is in the water. If the water contains dissolved oxygen percentage is less than that of the waste thrown out, in that case, if carbon is present, that is converted in the form of methane. If nitrogen is there, that is converted in the form of ammonia. Means here even ammonia, or you can take amines means these amines as well as the methane components that are formed, and also some gases like sulfur is present, that is converted in the form of hydrogen sulfide. Then the hydrogen sulfide, methane and the amines, these components have the very bad odor because the percentage of the oxygen is less, they can't be converted in the form of oxides. But here the methane, then amines, then hydrogen sulfide, here the oxygen percentage is less than that of the waste thrown out. In that case, the water is goes on polluting and it gives the unwanted smell and also it disturbs the aquatic life. This is regarding the sewage we can say. The second one is infections agents. In this case, the infection agents are the sewage from the municipal is almost associated with the disease microorganisms and the patients are suffering from such type of diseases like typhoid is there, dysentery is there, cholera is there, acute fever is there, and also from the so many uh, medical field there are so many in hospitals the so many components like unwanted that is thrown out even from the patient the discharge the urine and such type of components containing the microorganisms and they spread the diseases. Thus the wastewater invariably contaminated with the bacteria and the other microorganisms which leads the diseases that is from the infection agents. Next one is you can take organic chemicals. Here organic chemicals like you know pesticides are there, drugs are there, dyes are there, paints are there. Then all these components you can take sulfonated components are enters in the water medium and the decomposition there and the organic compounds are converted with generally they are toxic and that enters in the water. Next one is inorganic minerals and the chemical compounds. You know inorganic chemicals are enters invariably in the water medium from the different types of industries. You can take arsenic is the one of the component. This arsenic is enters in the water through the sources of pesticides as well as the chemical waste and the from the mines as well as the byproducts. What happens? Such type of components are directly enters in the water and that water is taken as a in the for the drinking purpose. What happens here? The enzymes that are present, especially the enzymes are present in the digestive tract and there different types of enzymes are there, you know, that is the invertase is there, zymes is there. There are so many enzymes are there and these enzymes becomes inhibitors and that leads to the carcinogenic diseases. That is one of the component is arsenic. The second one is beryllium. The beryllium is enters in the water through the nuclear power plants as well as the from the coal mine industries. You know nuclear power plant and there the electricity is generated where the nuclear reactions are carried out and from that the beryllium compounds are enters directly in the water and the beryllium compounds are toxic. They are dangerous even in the form of gaseous or in a dissolved form. They are very toxic and they are dangerous and they also leads to the carcinogenic disease like a cancer. You know there are different types of cancers are there. The third one is a boron and this boron is also is a industrial waste as well as the comes outside and enters in the water from the detergents also. We use the detergents daily and there are so many one or not only one or two, there are variety of industries are there. If you visit a chamber, that too in MIDC, Maharashtra Development Corporation, there in chamber, that is the part of the Bombay, it is a full of different types of industries, not one or two. That is uncountable number of industries are there, and all that waste is enters in the water medium, and that water is toxic and that is harsh to the plants also, as well as the aquatic life. Next one is the cadmium, and here it is an industrial waste as well as the nickel cadmium batteries, which contains the waste nickel and the cadmium components, and also metal plating industries, that is also the waste. And when that waste is enters in the water, and the water is used for the drinking purpose, what happens here? It leads the high blood pressure, even the kidney failure cases are there, and male functioning property is goes on decreasing if the cadmium is enters in the body. Next one is the chromium. Chromium also enters in the water medium from the metal plating industries, and this is also carcinogenic in nature, which leads the disease like cancer. Next one is copper, and this also industrial waste, and that copper waste is toxic to the plant as well as the aquatic life. You know, for the plant growth, water is essential, and for the aquatic life, the dissolved oxygen is also necessary. But what happens here? From the industry, when the copper compounds are enters in the water medium, then what happens? That disturbs the aquatic life, because the percentage of the dissolved oxygen is goes on decreasing by these components. Next one is the fluorine, and this fluorine is a natural geological source as well as the industrial water waste. You know, in some countries, some places like if you go towards the Raichur district, and in the Raichur district, whatever the water is obtained from the earth crust, from the borewell, that water is contains a rich of fluorine components. And when the fluorine water is taken in the form of drinking purpose or for the cooking purpose, what happens? The bone goes on damaging, means the hardness of the bone is goes on decreasing, the strength becomes less, and those bone becomes weakened, and that is reflected in the that is a melted teeth, means the teeth growth at the proper age does not comes healthy, they are damaged teeth are there. That is because of the fluorine content. And last, by the geological scientists, they reported that the water that is present or found in the Raichur district or in Gulbarga district, there the fluorine content is maximum, and they are suffering from these so many types of disease. Next one is lead. Lead is a plumbing, mining, coals as well as the it is obtained from the gasoline, and that lead present in the water, and that is taken as a drinking water. Then what happens? Nervous disorderness is going to be taking place. Means whatever the central nervous system is, we know brain, and it affects the central nervous system as well as the nervous disorderness takes place, and the person is suffering from the paralysis or brain tumor, like that the disease are occurs, and because of the lead. Because even we observe the lead content that is indirectly entered in the small kids, because the small kids when they are playing in the mud, what happens? Unknowingly the lead content is enters in the body, and that reflected in the blood, and the blood disease also starts. And the most important is the American government strictly, that is instructed that the school babies in every month they check the blood, and whatever the lead content in the blood is recorded. And if the percentage of the lead content is goes on increasing in the blood also, that leads to the different types of diseases. And that American government taken a lot of care to check the blood of the kids whether it is free from lead content or not. Manganese is a waste from the minings, and that is also toxic to the health. Similarly, mercury is there, molybdenum is there, that is selenium is there, zinc is there. All these components are toxic to the aquatic life, toxic to the plants also. These are the most important inorganic elements and their sources, and what is the adverse effect on aquatic life as well as the plant life and for the human. Okay, I will stop here only. Tomorrow I will start the remaining part. Thank you for your patience hearing.